Excellent. Welcome, everyone. I'm Jamie with PAC. I am a board member with PAC, and I have been PAC certified since 2018. I have with me today some fine folks from Gingr who are here to present a wonderful presentation on enhancing safety and efficient grooming processes. So they have a wonderful slideshow. Before we get started with that, though, I do want to share my screen and do just kind of a little introduction to what PAC is, who we are, and why you're here in a sense. For those that may not know a lot about PAC, and then for those that are going to watch later so that they can learn a little bit. So let me just share my screen here. All right, so welcome. We are so excited to have you here. It is going to be a fabulous hour spent together and learning a little bit more. And so what is PAC? So our mission is to bring independent testing and certification to the pet services industry. We think it's very important as we are a very fast growing industry that is unregulated, and it just brings professionals up to a higher standard. And it is something that we're all very passionate about, those of us that are on the board. And it comes with certain things. So it comes with a 3-year certification. Once you take the exam and you pass it, you have to either recertify every 3 years with continuing education and so forth. So there's some requirements on that testing, which is super important. We are a third-party certification. We are a nonprofit organization as well. So we're going to talk about a little bit what the difference between third-party and certification program is. And basically, kind of in a nutshell, you can read this quickly on your own there, but in a nutshell, education versus an assessment process. So the difference really is taking a course, getting a certificate, and then actually being assessed on your broad knowledge of the pet industry. A certificate is welcome to all newcomers, for anybody, where a third-party certification is geared towards professional experience. And then as well, one of the biggest differences is, a certificate demonstrates knowledge. You take a course, you pass the course, you know that material, versus continued education requirements. This is, again, something that third party is beautiful for, because it enhances our knowledge all of the time. It's not something we learned in 1930 and something that we take with us, for life. We have to do continued education and then recertify every 3 years. So those are some of the biggest differences. Ask yourself 2 questions we always ask. Do you know what you're doing when it comes to caring for people's pets? And are you good at it? And if yes, we'd love for you to prove it. Our next exam is June 10th to 24th. May 10th registration deadline, which is coming up very quickly. So, if you're somebody on here that, pet parent, or, ask your pet professional, are you certified? If you are a professional and you're not yet certified, ask yourself, hey, let's plan for the May 10th registration deadline. Don't forget to, if you're interested, join our Facebook study group, and you can see that here. And then you can also visit us on our website. So thank you. And for those that are kind of thinking about it, here's some reasons why it could be important to your business. Professionals require independent certification, maintaining your edge, building confidence within your employees, and then potential to recruit higher quality employees, and not necessarily building them from no education at all. And then most important is building trust within your pet parents. So thank you very much. That's the end of my little spiel for you guys. Just got to figure out how to get my mouse to go to the stop share. There we go. Excellent. Technology is only good when we know how to use it, right? I'm going to admit everybody else into the call as well, because I couldn't do that while I was sharing. Thank you very much for listening to that little spiel. And now, without further ado, we've got Allison and Sarah here from Gingr, and they're going to do a little presentation for all of us. So Sarah, if you want to go ahead and share your screen and get started, we're so excited, and we just want to thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us today. That looks good.
Hi, everyone. I'll jump in while Sarah Beth's getting everything situated with the slideshow. So my name is Allison Fisher. I work with Gingr. I also am an industry professional. I own 3 pet resorts myself. So I came to Gingr because I love the product so much and had been working in the pet world for quite a long time. So I work on the team working mostly with owners who are wanting to transition from another software into our software. And folks that are looking to start businesses and they want to look to see how Gingr can be an application within their business. Sarah Beth, you want to introduce yourself before we get started?
Yes.
I just want to add too quickly, sorry, before the introduction, that there is a CE code for those already PACCC certified. And as well, if we have any questions, please put them in the chat box and I will go through them, and we will go through the questions at the end of the presentation. Just wanted to add that in. Sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
No, no worries. Yep, I'm Sarah Beth. I am a product manager here at Gingr. I've been working with Gingr for about 2.5 years, and for the 20 or so years before that, I was in the pet care industry. Everything pretty much except being a groomer. You guys probably hear that a lot, but I've been in this industry a long time, and I'm very excited that I get to work for a software like Gingr, where we work to provide solutions for people in their businesses. It's really a pleasure and a privilege.
Absolutely. And it is, as you say, groomers, I feel like groomers have the hardest job in the industry for sure, hands down. So if we can make it safer and more efficient, then absolutely, I am all for that. So we look forward to this presentation. Thank you so much again.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to turn off my camera really quick, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Maybe. Okay. Perfect. I can run through this agenda really quick, Allison, and then I'll hand it off to you. So the goal of our webinar today is to really take some time to highlight best practices, not only for pet safety, but also for human safety in a grooming facility. And we're mostly going to be focusing on how you can do that by using a pet care software. Some of the topics we're going to discuss are compliance and regulations, groomer safety, pet safety, record keeping, employee management, having some sort of pet parent portal, and then also communicating with pet parents. And the whole purpose of this presentation is to make sure that you have time to do more of what you love. Nobody got into this industry to be doing paperwork or booking appointments day in and day out. You guys got into this because you want to spend time with pets. So that's what we're here for.
I'm going to kick off talking about some of these topics. So we thought compliance and regulation would be something that most of you are interested in. Every state is a little bit different as far as licensing goes and requirements for those kinds of things, but maintaining a good pet to human ratio, of course, is super important. Quickly providing key information if you have inspectors and those kinds of things coming into your facility. And then, of course, proof of vaccinations, obviously super important. So I've put a screenshot here just as an example in Gingr, excuse me, of a quick view maintaining ratios of pets in the building. So we have 4 dogs coming in today, or 4 pets, I should say, coming in today, 6 leaving today. And in this case, we don't have any overnight because I did this in a grooming type of scenario. So that's sort of an example of how our specific software manages that. You want to go to the next one? So the other thing that we talked about was really important is you having quick at-a-glance information to tell you about the pet. So within Gingr, you'll see there's little icons below each of the dogs' names. I've highlighted one of them for you. Just finding a way within your facility, within your shop, to make sure you have really important information relating to the dog. In this case, Dexter, needs to be muzzled when trimming nails. The volume of clients that I'm sure most of you are getting is probably pretty high. And so you're not going to remember from one appointment to the next what the dog needed. And this is a nice way to just making sure you're making behavioral type notes and process type notes about your dogs. And then, yeah, if you want to go to the next one. So the next thing is just understanding the proof of vaccinations. Yep, she's going to go ahead and play a little slide here. What I'm doing is showing that we have icons to tell us if the dog have vaccines or not. We also have these icons popping up to show us specific information about the dog. And we have vaccination dates, but not only the dates, we also can take a look and record keep right here. I know that record keeping is super important and sometimes can be clunky. You don't want to be keeping paperwork in your file cabinets and those kinds of things. So in looking at software solutions specifically, having a good record keeping database is super important. And in our case, we have it embedded on each one of those pets. And those icons can show you, the little icons that we looked at previously, show you exactly whether that pet has vaccination records, or it can indicate that it may or may not. And we have a way here for you to keep records specifically for licensing. I know a lot of state licensing agencies require you to have those vaccinations on file. You can do that right here within Gingr, actually.
Let's see what I got. Okay. Sorry. Trying to remember how to use PowerPoint again. Sorry, guys. Alrighty. Allison just spoke to just some of the things with regulations and compliance. I want to kind of click into that a little deeper and speak a bit about what you guys can do to protect yourselves or your employees as groomers. What's really important is that you need to find a system that provides key information as part of the booking process. This may include, the owner's name and contact, the pet breed and details, or even important notes such as icons or alerts, which Allison mentioned here. All of these things from the very beginning, getting those that can certainly contribute to your safety and making sure you're booking the pet that you think you're booking. Here in the video, you can see that we confirmed who the owner was here, just checking out some notes that already exist here. And then, of course, you want to prevent overbooking. Safety can be compromised when you're rushing from appointment to appointment or when you have too much on your plate on any given day. So it's important as you're booking appointments that you can easily see, what a groomer's already booked for. I'm just going to back up this video a little bit so we can actually show it. So you can see what's already booked in their day and then make a decision about whether or not the pet you're currently booking actually fits in that day or if it's going to put your groomer over capacity. In this specific example here, we're booking a golden doodle, a large golden doodle that had a note about how, he should be the only large fluffy dog booked on any given day. And initially, when going through the booking process, there's a lot of other dogs booked, large dogs booked. So we looked at a different day where only small dogs are booked. And then you can confidently say, yes, I can book this dog in on this day. And that that you and your groomers are not going to feel overworked by the end of that day because you had too many big, fluffy, curly dogs to work on. Also, it's important to have a way to control when, each of your specialists, each of your groomers, your bathers, when they can actually be booked for appointments, because this varies by the groomer or bather based on their skills and their preferences. It's important to consider the times that you're booking them and also the capacity. So how many pets at each time can they accept? And then of course the services themselves. With Gingr, we try to make that really easy, and hopefully whatever software solution that you're using, you can easily control the number of pets that can be booked and even designate which service types can be booked at any given time for each of the people that are offering services in your salon. So in this example, Daryl was the first one we did, and he can be booked for a lot of different services, only at specific times, only in the morning, versus Dwight can be booked pretty much all day, but only for baths. Kaylee has a very specific grooming schedule, can be booked for baths and a la carte, and small and medium dogs at multiple points throughout the day, but those large and extra large dogs can only be booked for their first appointments in the morning. And this just kind of gives you an idea of how you can really build that out based on what your groomers prefer and what's going to work with the flow within your salon. And then also considering that not every single person can perform every single service. So Pam Beasley here, for example, she can't do any haircuts at all. So she's only configured to be able to accept bath services. And then a little bit about how that works in practice. Here back on that booking page, we're going to book a pet for an appointment here again. We're booking a very large dog, a Bernese Mountain Dog, and you can see that when we select this large dog service, that only 2 different groomers show up, Daryl and Kaylee, and then the actual appointment times that display for them are different based on what we configured on that page. So we're making sure you're not overbooking or booking someone at times they don't want to accept, those sorts of dogs.
Sarah, I just had a quick comment from Emily. She was wondering if it was possible to make your PowerPoint a full screen just so that they could see it a little bit better.
Is it not a full? Which one is displaying? I'm sorry.
So what we're seeing is your pet safety, and then underneath all of your slides.
Oh, it's not displaying the right one. Hold on 1 second.
See, and here I assumed that this was a full screen.
Yeah, it's supposed to be displaying. I don't know how I can pick which one it displays.
Thanks, Emily, for bringing that.
Okay, so it's displaying like presenter view.
Maybe, yes, possibly.
I think it is, Sarah Beth.
Oh no,
that's okay.
Let me see if I can convince it. Otherwise, I'm going to stop my share really quick and try to switch where it's displaying. And then go back. Let me see. I actually might just share this based on the desktop. Okay. How about now? Is that better?
That is better. Thank you so much. And thanks, Emily, for bringing that up.
Okay, let me jump back to where we were here. Okay, that was interesting. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, no worries.
You guys definitely couldn't see anything. Okay, back to booking that appointment. I selected a really large dog here, and I just want to show you guys that, only Daryl and Kaylee actually display here as groomers who could possibly book their service. And then the appointments that display here are based on what we configured on that day. So different times display for Daryl, then display for Kaylee, and on that, and you can actually see if they're already booked at those times or if they've got availability. So these little green dots show up and say, yep, Daryl's fully available at this time. And then if we selected Kaylee, it's going to show some different appointment times for Kaylee. If we go in and we change this service type, now we're going to be booking a dachshund in for a small dog service. We're going to have some different specialists that display here. So this just kind of showcases how you can really make sure you're only booking the types of services that work for each of your groomers by controlling that within a software. It makes it a bit easier than pen and paper and trying to remember this or look at notes that are posted somewhere. I think that's everything I had for groomer safety.
Yeah, and then I was going to talk a little bit about pet safety and really, that kind of contributes to just overall safety in your salon, your shop, tracking arrival and departure times. So Ginger's intuitive enough here to tell you the time that the dog checked in, the time that the dog should be checking out. If you see on that top line, the dog checked in at 1:57, should be checking out at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. And then you see also on the second one, Wednesday. So I pulled these at different times. So Mosby had been in the facility for a long time, and Wednesday, same situation. So it's telling us how long the pet it has been in the building, and obviously safety for the pet to be sure. We've done potty breaks and waters and those sorts of things as well. I'm going to go to the next slide, Sarah Beth. And then just general information about the dog. I think this is a cumbersome process, just like I mentioned in the beginning, making sure that you have as much information at your fingertips as you can relating to the dog. So within Gingr, we have a pet profile and a pet parent profile. So I've pulled Scout out so we can just see a little example here. He's an intact male. He's 2 years and 2 months old. He's a Boykin Spaniel. We have a temperament indicator on the pet parent, or excuse me, on the pet profile. And then there are those icons as well that we mentioned. The cool thing about Gingr is you have the ability to apply almost endless numbers of icons to the pets. And so what I know here from looking, just because I am experienced within Gingr, and you in a shop as a user, especially if you were a Gingr user, would start to memorize the things that are listed here. The smiley face, meaning that the dog has a good temperament. The scissors, meaning that they have a particular way they'd like the dog to be cut. The little icon there that's red that shows the male and female symbol tells me he's unaltered. And a few other things there. The red exclamation point immediately tells me as a facility operator that there's an incident on the dog's profile. And you can see that along the top as well. It's highlighted to tell me that there may have been some kind of incident with the dog. So really giving you as much information as you can record about that dog on that pet profile. And then next one, Sarah Beth, if you don't mind. Here I've highlighted again, we've talked about those icons for us in my facilities and for my customers that I work with Gingr. These icons are just so nice to be able to see exactly what that's telling me. So we kind of laugh that Hank is an angry guy. And so we've got a little fighter jet icon on there. So I can glance at my dashboard, I can glance at that pet's appointment card and immediately know, without even really having to hover over the top of that icon, exactly what to expect from that pet. And that next slide, thank you. So this one, it should be a video, Sarah Beth, I think. Yep. This one is our appointment card, and it looks a little like what Sarah Beth was showing you previously on booking. But this is how I would pull up as a groomer to say, okay, it's time to groom Scout. I can again see those icons. I can actually see information also about the owner. I can take a look at the services that the owner has requested for today. I can manage where I am in the process. And then I can see a lot of historical data. I can check out here to see I've done a number 7 on the body, a 4 on the face previously. I can see historical appointments, future appointments, and then really be able to manage where we are with the process, like rebooking. I can send notifications to the customer. I can complete all of those tasks. And then, of course, once the tasks are complete, I can send a notification to the customer. As a groomer, I like this, and my groomers like it as well, because we all know you'll have a dog on the table and then you have to put the dog up because someone's come in or you need a bathroom break and those kinds of things. It's a nice way to track where you are with the appointment. Live and in person, also be adding employee notes so that 6 weeks down the road, you can remember what blades and those kinds of things that you've used for the dog. So really love this appointment card feature. And then I should have one more, I think, on this one. Sarah Beth. Oh, maybe I didn't have another slide. I think that one's yours. Sorry, Sarah Beth.
No, that's okay. We kind of worked on this at the same time, but not directly together. Okay. Everything that Allison was speaking about really flows very nicely into record keeping. I think you guys all understand the importance of record keeping. I'm sure that's also part of the exam you will take if you are becoming certified through PACCC as well. With Gingr or with any software that you find, it should be really easy to record those important notes. For example, someone calls you to make an appointment, or as they're dropping off, you need to be able to record the information that the pet parent gave you. In this example, when Smog, the giant Furnace Shepadoodle, was booked for his appointment, we made a note that it was the first time he was coming to be groomed with us. Dad said he really wanted to keep him long, and that he was last groomed at another salon 6 months ago. For any of you guys who are here as groomers, that would kind of be a bit of a red flag for you guys. You'd be like, wow, they want to keep him long, and it's been 6 months, and he's a giant Furnace Shepadoodle. So you're probably preparing yourself for a good bit just from those notes right there. And then once that pet's there with you, why did it bump back? Sorry. Once the pet is with you and this is losing its mind, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. Whew. Keep it moving forward. Once they're there with you, that you can then record notes that are internal notes that are going to be stored on this pet's profile throughout their history that they're with you. And so in this example, we're just, he came to be groomed today, and the groomer here is just writing a note that was his first groom with us. He was heavily matted. And so they're going to add on a fee for that matting fee, and that they called the owner. So just a little, kind of some brief notes about what they did that day and any communication that they had with the owner. And it was great. Dad understood. So beautiful. And that he was very good for his groom. Let's skip ahead a little bit here. You can save that note. And then I just want to show you how that, you can quickly go in and make that note here and even update the price. To add that dematting fee, since you were charging them for it, you can go ahead and make a note there, and then you can be like, oh, that was a lot of dematting. I'm going to increase that price to $30 from right there, and save that. And then you can just see how this note that we left here under those grooming notes also lives right there on that animal profile, that pet profile that Allison mentioned earlier. So it makes it really convenient to access those notes from wherever you need them. You can also record other types of notes, such as preferences for which groomer a pet is being booked with, or what types of grooms they like. So in this example, we added some booking notes that Wookie is always going to be booked with Dariel, and then per Dariel's request, you don't book this dog if there are any other doodles or large fluffy grooms that day. So that just really allows you to communicate those preferences, and you can configure these alerts to pop up as you're booking the appointment, as you're viewing the profile. Really, anytime you want these to pop up, you can choose if they do or don't pop up. Also shown here are just where you can record some grooming notes as well. So they always want same length all over. They never want him to look like a poodle. So no poodle trim on his face or his feet. I'm not a groomer, so I don't know the correct terminology to use there, but that would work for me, just to give you an idea of what that would look like.
At least you knew that a Bernedoodle takes a long time, Sarah Beth.
I do know that much. I've worked with enough groomers, but I've never been the one grooming them. And yeah, and just kind of show how those notes display there. I don't know why this doesn't like to pop forward. Okay. Also, as Allison mentioned earlier, kind of the regulations, and then on the pet safety, those pet warnings are really important. This is an example of one. Attempts to escape from the salon, cannot be allowed to free roam, can jump, climb low gates. And then with that, you can also have those incident reports. Some states, some jurisdictions do require for you to maintain for a certain period of time, incident reports if anything happens to a staff member, and sometimes even if anything happens to a pet. So in Gingr, we make that really easy. So you don't have to maintain some 3-ring binder somewhere in the building. You can just maintain them right here in the software and access them at any time. And this is just an example of what that alert would look like and how you could write up. This is just the summary of the incident report, but within Gingr, you actually have a whole detailed incident report form that you can customize for your business and have questions that whoever's filling it out may be required to answer, so that you get all the details that you need. But in this one, it just details what happened with Fluffy. Fluffy climbed a small gate in the pet salon, escaped out of the door of the pet salon, and then almost escaped out of the door of the entire facility itself. And so this just kind of describes what happened there and how they're going to work with that in the future to be able to keep Fluffy safe. And then anytime someone new comes in and starts working with Fluffy, they can just go back in and review these notes, and we'll know everything that's supposed to be happening with Fluffy, and we'll make sure that Fluffy's safe when Fluffy's there. And then one of the most fun things you can do for record keeping in Gingr are our report cards. These report cards can be customer facing. They can be emailed to the customer. They can access them in their own portal. And then what I particularly love about report cards is that all historical report cards, those are stored on that pet's profile. So this is my personal pet Goomba in my test app, but I haven't created many for him in my test app, but in the actual place I use, he's got dozens of these report cards. And so any business that's using report cards, if you want to go in and see what you had been reporting on that pet for previous reservations or appointments, you can just access them directly from the report cards tab when they're on their pet profile. So it makes it really easy to make sure you're effectively communicating with your customers and that you know how you've communicated with them in the past. Now that we've talked about all of the kind of the safety things, we'd like to dive a little bit into the employee management side of this. Of course, it's really important that you have a way to easily record and pay out any tips and commissions for your team members. Finding a software that can do that for you and calculate it for you is great. In Gingr, you can set a commission rate, a percent per groomer and per service. So if you pay a different commission rate for a bath and brush than you might for a groom, you can easily set that inside of Gingr. And then of course it varies by groomer as well. And then also finding a way to actually see what those commissions are you should be paying out to your team. So that's just an example of what that could look like here. And then what tips you should be paying to your team as well. Either those tips are for specific specialists. You can also just accept facility tips as well, and then split those up among your team. Oh, I switched the order of these. Okay. Also, it's important to be able to set your kind of user permissions. What can your groomers, what can your employees, your receptionist, any member of your team, what can they and what can they not do within the system? One of the most important things with this, it really protects the integrity of your financial data, because you can choose who can not only view your financial reports, but also if they can make any changes to invoices and things like that. And then, of course, you're making sure that the schedules that you've set up for your specialists, that they're not being changed by someone who shouldn't be able to do that. So within Gingr, you can control who can and cannot make changes to their own schedule, to someone else's schedule, to any sort of capacities, who can and cannot override capacities. You know, sometimes you want to be able to accept a nice little dog in, even though you're already booked for the day, but there should be some gatekeeping around who can do that. And you can also control who can even adjust the prices of a service. So you might have fixed rates for, you know, some or all of your services, but maybe a manager or yourself, you can override those and change them, but you don't want someone else to be able to just change those rates. And that all of that can be controlled from within Gingr. Then also you have that transparency in pricing that goes along with historical invoices. So you can look back in the history of a pet's, you know, a grooming history with you. You can see what service they were booked for, who they were booked with, what time their appointment was, how much you charged them for that, how much extra you charged them for any add-ons, and the notes that were associated with that. And then on the invoice that can be given to that customer, either email to them, they can access it in their portal, or you can print it. It's also going to break down exactly what they paid for. And so for smog, for example, you can say, usually, moving forward, it's going to be $120 for smog. This time it was an extra $30 because of that dematting. If we don't have to perform that dematting service next time, if he comes to see us, in a few weeks and you keep them brushed, you should expect to see your price closer to $120. So it makes it a lot easier to know how much you've charged them in the past and why. And it's just right here at your fingertips. You don't have to go digging to find that information. And it makes it really easy for you to also kind of track how much each of your team members are charging for these services, and whether or not they're adding on these extras such as dematting, or if they're just not charging for that. Okay, Allison.
Yes, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the pet parent portal and just liaising with your clients, because I think especially in the grooming world, we see our clients for 3 minutes at the beginning and 4 minutes at the end of the service that you're providing, but you're really doing an important service to their pet. And so it's important to get good communication and be able to have really good transparency, just as Sarah Beth mentioned. So I want to show a video. Is this showing up, Sarah Beth? Are we having trouble with? Oh, no, here it is. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the customer facing portal that you have as an option with our software. So this is one of our customers, Disco Paws. They allow their customers to log in and to be able to add data to their profile. This is sort of an example of if I were a new customer to Disco Paws, they would be able to collect a lot of data about not only the pet, but also the pet parent. They also are able to use this feature to collect electronic signatures for waivers and those sorts of things, which I'm going to show in another slide. But this is a really excellent feature for our software, for other softwares, to be able to integrate with your either website or your Facebook page and collect the data up front. I think many of us have probably made the mistake of, sure, I'll take in your miniature poodle, what's its name and what's your name and your phone number, and I'll call you, but really more important to get some more data than that. And so the pet parent portal in Gingr, for example, is a good example of being able to do that. I'm going to go on to the next slide. Within our pet parent portal, and another video coming up, we can also do upcoming appointments and reminders, and we'll talk about that when we get to communication. But in that portal, our customers can see upcoming appointments, whether they've been confirmed, they're not confirmed, those sorts of things. And then on my next slide, this is what it looks like within our pet parent portal. If you want to go ahead and, oh, it's playing. So right here, our parents can manage their information. They can manage the pet's information. They can see here that Hank has expired vaccinations. They're actually able to upload those vaccine records or edit Hank's profile right here within their portal. Here's another spot where they can upload records, and you can also push them through the waivers and agreements. So most jurisdictions, most licensing agencies are probably going to recommend that you have waivers, and I know that your legal advisors will do that as well. We at Gingr don't provide those for you. That's an individual thing that you need to work out for yourself, but we can take electronic signature right within Gingr, and then that lives there forever. And if there's some sort of discrepancy or issue with the customers, even to the point that, charging additional fees, you can list that in your waivers and agreement that says, the price that's listed was 120 in Sarah Beth's example previously, it was 120 for the groom, but we spent an hour and a half dematting the dog, and you can list out those additional charges right within your waivers and agreements and manage those online. You can also update those waivers and agreements. So within Gingr, let's say you need to reset your waiver and agreement because you want to add requirement. You can do that and reset them, and the pet parents can sign them right within the portal, which I think is a nice feature of our software, at least. And the uploading of vaccination records, I know we all know this is a beast. People arrive without vaccination records, and then they say, oh, I had it at home in a copy. This is a great way for them to, at their fingertips, be able to send you in those vaccination records, and you keep track of them digitally. To the next one. I want to talk a little bit about communication. So Sarah Beth touched on that in her slides relating to the report cards on the business side, but this is a little more on the parent side. So here I've pulled an example from one of the videos that I posted for you. This is just a little bit about our dog today, Scout, that was in. He was enthusiastic, he was popular, and then the groomer here has put in notes. I did a number 7 on the body, feathers long, brush out. And so they're giving some information to the pet parent about what's happened with the groom. You can also do things like my groomers in our facilities will, let's say the dog has a broken toenail, they broke their dew claw, or the dog's ear looks a little yeasty. They'll take a picture of it, they'll attach it to a report card and say, you know, recommend the dog seeing the vet, clean the ear out, but do think there may be an infection starting to form. None of us, I don't think any of us on the calls are veterinarians, but most of the time we know what we need to do to send them. So this is an excellent way of communicating live real time with the customer to let them know what's going on. And then, like Sarah Beth said, it does live within Gingr, both the business side and the pet parent side. So you can go back and see historical information. Let's say you get the dog in 6 weeks and its ear is still yeasty, or, you know, that's still got a skin condition going on. You can track that, hey, you did at least notify the parent that you thought, in your opinion, that they needed to be seen. And on the next slide, I wanted to show another pet parent communication, and that is our two-way texting feature. As a facility owner, this was a game changer for me when we were able to start two-way texting with our pet parents. We can send pictures back and forth. You know, they bring it in and say, I want, I had an example the other day, someone asked for their Aussie to be cut like a teddy bear. And I said, okay, I need to see a picture. So we verify, you know, that exactly what you're thinking is teddy bear on an Aussie. And they can send that to us directly there. This avoids, number one, you having to have it on your personal phone. But again, that historical data, these live in Gingr forever. So the communication, portal or the communication tab in Gingr stays there, and the pet parent, you can click into them and see all communication you've had with them by text on their pet parent portal. We also do reminders and, go ahead. We also can do reminders and marketing campaigns. So I'm showing you here our marketing options. I can create a new email or text messaging campaign. I can choose a group of reservation types. So in this case, I was thinking of the example of clicking anybody in the last 60 days that has groomed with us. Let's say you had a kennel cough outbreak, or let's say you had a special and you forgot to charge them, or let's say you wanted to just notify them of something that had happened. The marketing marketing module within Gingr is excellent for communicating in large bulk masses. And I think that's a really great feature as far as communicating things and being transparent, really. You know, if you had a dog in that the next day came down with kennel cough, it's important to let your clients know that that may be something that's coming up for them as well. I think I have one more on here. I can click forward to the next slide, I think, Sarah Beth. There we go. This is another example of that appointment card. We've gone back to that several times, but my groomers live their life here as far as performing this service. And the rebooking in our industry is so important, relating to capacities, relating to safety, like Sarah Beth talked about, just not killing yourself with 100 doodles. So the rebooking, obviously getting customers to do reoccurring bookings and those sorts of things, super important. And with that pet parent communication theme we're talking about, I can rebook here, and that's going to send them a reminder and notify them that they either have another appointment or a series of appointments. Also within Gingr, we have connected communication. As soon as you book something, you can set an email to go out. You can also set reminders to go out. That works well to make sure that your days are full, but not over full, and making sure your customers know when their appointments and those sorts of things are. And I think if we move on to the next one, I put just a few stats up here. So we're seeing relating to the pet parent portal that I was talking about, we're seeing around $12 of add-on services per appointment being added if our customers are booking using the customer-facing portal. So I go onto the pet parent portal, I can easily read and see what my options are, as opposed to just calling and saying, hey, I need to get my Berna Shepadoodle groomed. I can read and see what my options are. I can do it at 11 o'clock at night. And I can also go, oh yeah, I want my dog to have a blueberry facial. Oh yeah, I think I want my nails dremeled instead of just clipped. And so we're seeing if folks are using a software solution to do this, where it's really driving revenue for our grooming clients. And I can attest to that as well. We're also seeing about 50% rebookings in a lot of our clients when their groomers are using the appointment card and using the features that we offer to just say to that customer, pet is ready. As soon as they arrive, we can rebook that client, or excuse me, we can rebook that client and then say the pet is ready, and you can hand them their next appointment card as they walk through the door. Really just encouraging that rebooking. And 40% of new customers using the portal. Folks are finding us through finding our Gingr users through their websites, through their Facebook pages. They're clicking right into their portal. We're collecting that data from the customer, and about 40% of new bookings can come, if you have that, straight through online. That avoids you being on the phone. It avoids you walking away from a grooming table with a dog there to pick up the phone, and accidents that could potentially happen as far as that goes. So for me, as both a Gingr employee and also as a facility owner, that's a big one, safety wise, that we can get ourselves off the phone and be more present and paying attention to the pet. So I think that's a really important stat, but also it is true as far as functionality goes as well. And then I have one more slide here, and I think we're ready for questions. I know some of you that are on the call are current Gingr users. Happy to help you if you have support issues. I've put our support down there. I'm sure most of you know how to get a hold of that. If you're not a Gingr user and you're interested in talking about it, happy to do it. That's not why we're here, but I know some of you may be interested in what we've seen, and I can certainly help you with that. Sarah Beth, I might just pull up the chat here and facilitate some question and answers if that's okay. Let's see.
I do have some questions, but before we get to the questions, I'd like to just say thank you. What a great presentation. This was absolutely amazing and so informational, whether you use Gingr or not. My takeaway from this one is really about time management and using really good notes to help with enhancing safety, but also for, efficiently booking future grooms with your clients and having that, so your employees aren't on the phone for hours, or they can see old notes and previous history. So I love that. What a great presentation to enhance that. So I know that some people have to go and they may not have time to stay for the questions answered. I want to make sure that I give you the CEU code for those PACCC certified professionals that are on. So pencils ready, or maybe you've got your PACCC portal open already and you're ready to input your number. So it is CC230020. And I'll also put that in the chat box as well. I've got some messages here that were private. They were just sent directly to me, so you may not see them. So I'll get started with those ones just so then they don't get forgotten about. But somebody asks and states that report cards are so valuable to the pet parents, and they were wondering if they could do, is it just one report card that would be done and both parties can see it, or are you making two report cards, one for the client and one for the facility?
So the report card would be used, that is what can be sent to the customer.
Okay.
I think if you were making notes, most customers don't really care to see what blade you used or what overblade you used and those kinds of things. That would be done in the notes section, which is not visible by the customer. The report card is really that information that you're wanting to push out to the customer and them to have both you and them can have the historic data, but the report card would really be used if you want to communicate something to the customer. In the notes section is really more, how did we perform this service and what exactly did we do?
Perfect. Thank you. And then another ask, is there a way to assign a grooming appointment to a specific person? If so, is there a way to run reports each day or before payroll in order to pay based on commission?
Yes, absolutely. So you do assign, we assign each, we call it a specialist within Gingr. So each specialist has a schedule, and they can manage that schedule in slot-based appointments or time-based appointments. I know it's a wide range about how folks like to accept their grooming appointments. And then, yes, you can pull records to say, me, Allison, I groomed these 10 dogs this week and my commission is 50%. And here's a report of that. And you can use that for your payroll processing, definitely. And I'll turn
Awesome.
my camera back on. I forgot I had shut it off.
Yeah, that's all right. Yes, and Angie did ask in the chat box, and maybe everybody's already seen it, but I'm going to say it out loud for those that are going to review it later, because this could be a really good question from somebody else. So Angie picked up on a feature that you guys have, and she had asked, when booking appointments, I see a facility calendar showing in the upper right-hand corner. Great eye, Angie. That does not populate in my Gingr. Do I have to turn that on somewhere that I have missed? And then she adds, show availability calendar to employees. Should employees see an availability calendar for this booking type when creating a booking? This is on her setup. And then Sarah Beth, of course, answered her. Thank you very much for answering that. The preview is available with new facility calendar. So it's a new feature, and you can reach out to the support to find out more about it. So that's really exciting. I love that Angie picked up on that. That was pretty cool.
That was an eagle eye type of pickup. That's awesome, Angie.
Yes,
It's
yes.
a great feature.
Yeah, we've just started rolling that one out. It's kind of in like a beta situation right now, and we're going to roll it out to customers in stages. And so if any of you guys who are current Gingr customers and are interested in being some of the next customers to receive that, just reach out to our support team and they'll get you guys on that list to receive it next. We expect to be rolling it out to a few more customers in the next few weeks.
Oh, fantastic. And Angie says, thank you very much, Sarah Beth, as well. And then I see just one other question. How are bookings handled by new clients doing this automatically if there is a prize that must be set by, or a price, sorry, that must be set by staff based on size and coat length?
Sure. I can take this one, Sarah Beth, if you want. So through the portal, the customer is simply requesting a reservation. And so you have control to accept it, reject it, waitlist it, those kinds of things within Gingr. And most groomers do not set a price for the groom. So it may be called groom full service, and we don't set a price for that. We allow it to be set while you're doing the appointment or later before the dog has been checked out. You can have various reservation types. Let's say you wanted to have a large dog long coat and the price is, $75 or whatever the price, you can set it. Most customers, and Sarah Beth, jump in if I'm saying that if you feel something different, but most of our Gingr customers are leaving that as an open field so that their groomers can set the price once the dog has come in. The nice thing about Gingr is it does remember, so to speak, it keeps that price moving forward. So the historical data I kind of talked about, I charged that Berna Shepadoodle $120. Gingr will remember that, and also the duration. So if you update the duration, that maybe they booked a 60-minute appointment and you really know it's a 4-hour appointment, Gingr can remember that historical data as well. And so when they rebook again, it will auto-populate for that, and then you have the ability to flex that pricing. If you want to put pricing in, for sure you can, but most of our groomers are doing it that way.
And then for that transparency and pricing piece, you do have the option of, even if that price isn't populating with the appointment itself, you can add descriptions of what all of your services are, and those are customer facing. So you could say, you know, for a small fluffy dog such as this, your price would start at this price, and kind of provide some examples. So as the customer's going through and booking, they can make the decision on whether or not you're even within their price range. And if there's someone that you want to use. And so they have a bit of an idea of how much they need to be budgeting for that appointment ahead of time.
Awesome. Those are all some really great questions. I don't see any other questions in the chat box. I don't know if I've missed any, if Sarah Beth and Allison, if you saw any others, but I don't have any on my end. So with that, we're coming to the near of the hour, and I just want to say thank you so much. Gingr is a Diamond PAC sponsor as well, and we just want to say how appreciative we are for that, because that allows us to continue our mission as well. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. It was beautiful. Thank you everyone for joining us, and for those that are going to view it later, and just spending the time with us and learning a little bit, and helping making your grooming abilities so much more safer and a little bit more efficient as well. So that was some great things out of this presentation. So thank you again for your time and for spending it with us.
Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate it.
If anybody has a last moment question, here it is to get it in. I'll give you your CEU code one more time, CC230020. I don't see anything coming through. Thank you. And we'll say goodbye. It was wonderful having everyone. Take care, everyone. Bye.